Welcome to 1 Minute What the Hell? Alright, so today we're playing the Sega Saturn, as you can see there. And there we go with the bright blue Sega logo right there. And Traveler's Tale. And here we have an introduction for Sonic 3D Blast for the Sega Saturn. Very, very awesome. And here's your main menu for Sonic 3D Blast. Very, very nice, colorful main menu, as you can see there. We're going to press start. And as you can see here, we have a 3D looking menu. This game was also on Sega Genesis. There is quite a few differences between the Genesis and the Sega Saturn version. Especially graphically, the Saturn version is much more superior. Here we have a little map that indicates where we're going to be playing at first. And then we're in Act 1. And in this game, you can use the 3D controller if you want, with the joystick. Exactly what I'm using right now. You can see the bridge in Sonic 3D Blast on the Saturn. It's actually 3D. If you walk back and forth, you can actually see it moving back and forth. On the Genesis version, that really doesn't happen at all. And the music is really awesome. If you listen to the background, the soundtrack is really cool. You do have a little bit of what appears to be rainbow banding right here underneath the rings. So there is a little bit of rainbow banding underneath the shadows. So the whole object of the game is to collect these flickies, which happen to be birds. Believe it or not, the flickies actually existed before Sonic the Hedgehog. Back in the early 80s, there was a flicky video game that Sega developed a long time ago. And eventually they brought them back in the Sonic the Hedgehog series. And it's been a while since I played this game. I'll say on each level there's probably about 5 or 6 flickies you have to get. Right now we have 3 flickies, and the more you get, the more you have them tailing right behind you, right there. Pretty cool. So now we have 4 flickies. You want to make sure you have enough rings to keep you alive. And I believe that we have a flicky on the loose right there. We have 5 flickies. I believe there's one more flicky. Nope, I got them all. So the only thing you have to do is stand on this little warp zone right here, and it brings you to some other area in the map. And make sure you have a lot of rings, because there are certain levels, like bonus levels, that require about 50 rings. So the more rings you have, the better it helps you out. For certain enemies, you can actually just roll into them just like that. And it might be actually easier to actually kill them. So right now we have 1 flicky. We have to locate where the other flickies are. The graphics on this game are quite nice. It's resembling sort of like a 16-bit game, but with a mixture of 32-bit at the same time. It's much, much improved from the 16-bit counterpart in the Genesis. The Genesis version of this game is cool, but this game right here is definitely a much, much better version of the game. So one thing that really stands out about this version of the game is definitely the sound. Much better sound quality than the Genesis. The graphics are reminiscent to the Genesis version, but much better. The gameplay is pretty close to the same, but there is something about this version of the game that keeps me playing it. While this Genesis version was good, but I wasn't as addicted to it as much as this version. There's something definitely about this version that keeps me playing. And this right here is a bonus stage. And we have a 3D bonus stage that's exclusive to the Sega Saturn. You can see the 3D graphics, completely different gameplay than the standard game itself. But very, very cool. The more rings you get, the better it is, because you'll be able to get rewards from collecting as much rings as possible. Get free guys and whatnot, just like in Super Mario pretty much. So hopefully we'll make out pretty good with that. And the graphics look really awesome in the bonus stages, as you can see there. Yeah, you can see here we actually have bosses in this game too, so make sure you collect some rings, because if you don't have rings, you might get hit. Then it won't do you any good because you're gonna die. Let's try not to get hit. Son of a bitch. There we go. So now we're gonna have a whole bunch of different explosions occurring and all kinds of crap. The game has a lot of nice looking colorful levels. One of the most atmospheric games back then, I would say. Definitely recommend it if you have a Sega Saturn. One of the best looking games in my opinion. And this game shines on the Saturn much more than the Genesis. Genesis version is not bad. If you have a Genesis, definitely recommend that version also. But I definitely would choose the Saturn version over the Genesis version. It's just something about it. It's much better.